Hey everybody, this is Brandon, your ADHD game dev. Okay, I want to show you a project I'm working on over in GameMaker. It is a platformer template that I named a pretty good platformer. So I would manage expectations on myself. My intention is to be able to use this for myself for future projects where I want to springboard, no platformer pun intended, springboard off of that into another project. So we'll take a look over here. Disregard the graphics. You don't notice the graphics. The graphics are all placeholder because this is really a template. So we have our character can move around and it can trigger animation frames and a little animation for the jump effect. That's what we really wanted to get working. Movement and jumping and bumping into solids. Nice and solid bumping and collisions here. The other thing that I just finished adding was little moving platform that works pretty well. I'm not totally done with all of this. Of course, it's still work in progress. This was kind of in regards to that post that I made the other day. If you followed any of my posts, I followed. Anyway, I had posted whether I should just keep going or try to work on something else. This is one of the things that I had kind of in the hopper already, so I opened it up and I rebuilt most all of the code that I had going already, and I definitely redid all the graphics. The other thing that's in here that's interesting is the camera object. That's the invisible object that you don't see, but it's very important. That alone, I think, is going to be a good one for me to have going forward using this. Let's take a look under the hood here. This is not a tutorial, but I will show you what I did to code things. So let's take a look here under the player object. Yeah. So what I always do is I'm going to put in my different behaviors as a variable. So I'm going to have my move speed, my jump speed. I want to have a speed limit on fall because otherwise with GameMaker, if you apply gravity, it can kind of go out of control and have you go like a meteor until you get out of bounds. So I also have coyote time, which I've never done in a game before. I was really happy with this. That allows you to have a little kind of a floating jump. If you get to the edge of the platform, you've still got a second. This also goes in with the video that the short that I posted about saying you should separate out your inputs from the response, and I'm doing that here. So when you push a key that says key right or left, I'm setting a variable called my direction, my dir, because I don't want to write direction, my dir to -1 or 1, and if you're not pushing either, it goes to 0. Okay. What that does at present is really simple. All I do is I multiply my move speed by that value of my dir, I'm going to stop doing that, of my direction, 1 or -1. So my move speed is set to 2 in this case because it's all tiny pixel stuff, and my dir is going to go to 1 or -1. So that either goes positive or -2 to my move speed by multiplying it by that 1, because 1 times move speed is either positive or negative, or it stops the H speed. Now I can add more code into this later on to do acceleration and deceleration, which is another good thing to do. You could say if you haven't reached that maximum speed of your move speed, go ahead and accelerate. That's another good thing to do. In a platformer, it might be good to have really snappy movement, or it might feel kind of a little bit too twitchy. It might feel too much like you're an insect. So messing around with the values and finding out what feels good is really important. Speaking of that, the coyote time thing is really important, and again, it is that deal of let's separate out the input from the response. So when the player hits the ground, they're going to reset. They're going to reset to that can jump value. As long as they've got the can jump equals 1 and they press the button, they can jump. So what happens is I've got that alarm event that goes ahead and resets it. So I can change that alarm event, which is the coyote speed. Instead of 4, I can set it to be 999, okay? So now when it hits that reset on the jump timer, which is really what it is, can you jump or not, it gets kind of an air jump. So watch this. I'm going to just boop. Let me see if I can do it again a little bit more. I can kind of do an air jump, which is fun. And I don't get a second because what it does is I've timed out can jump either equals 1 or 0. I could, in fact, add a multi-jump system by having it count up the number of jumps. So instead of saying can jump equals 1 or 0, we could have can jump equals 2, and you count them down, and then you reset them when you hit the ground. In this case, boop. I'm just being risky now. But anyway, it's just fun. And the reason you want to set things up like that in the way that I did right here is that you can change these values in your create event, in that first event, and it changes everything. And we don't have to go back through and replace all these hard-coded values because we don't want that, okay? So over here, I just have, hey, we reset when you land, it could be can jump equals 1. I could easily change that to 2 and get that double jump system I was talking about. So I could indeed say if can jump is, I could say is greater than 0. I'll get the same effect there. So now I can have multiple jumps in here, and it allows me to make real simple changes to the beginning of the code without having to go back and change everything. So first of all, it's set up your core values as variables instead of hard coding them into your code. And second of all, we want to have that input and then later on a response. So it's input sets a variable. Later on in the code, the variable gets the response. So we have that little intermediate step in there. That way you can do some stuff like put that into a fixed update kind of a thing, or a delta time event here, so it works with physics a little bit better. It also collects all of your reactions to one space later on. So you got all your movements are over here, all your keyboard inputs are over there. So you've got 2 separate blocks of code, so they're in real small packages doing just one thing. That's really, really good for just good coding behavior, so you can offload your brain. But if you've got limited working memory, it's really, really, really helpful. Anyway, that's enough on this one. I hope this was valuable to you, a little bit more of a technical thing today, so I hope you enjoyed that. And if so, before you run away, please subscribe to the channel, give a comment, give a like, subscribe to it, send it to your grandmother, do something to let me know that this was helpful to you. You guys, be awesome.